Hello everybody and welcome to a new Let's Play series. Game is called Oxygen Not Included. Now this is going to be my first time ever playing through this game, so we're going to go ahead and go with no sweat, keep things pretty basic while I try to learn how to play the game. And in this you get to choose your map, so Terra seems like the perfect way to start this game. And then you pick 3 duplicates to start off. I don't really know what is important. I've seen a couple of gameplays of this series, however, those are very advanced and I'm definitely a noob. So I know the +7 machinery is good. They cannot do research errands, but that's fine because she's just going to be operating. Let's see, what else? We probably want to re-roll this one. Let's see if we can get something good. Allergic to floral scents, so that means you have to be very careful about what plants you put, which is good for morale, so let's re-roll. Narcoleptic, falls asleep periodically. I mean, that's not the end of the day, that's fine. Especially because he has +3 construction and +3 science. And he's a balloon artist when he's overjoyed, so I think he's going to be pretty good. And as for this duplicant, he has +1, but we want to get something that's more, well, that's better. Let's see. +3 strength, +3 agriculture, so she could be our farmer. Determines a duplicant's default run speed, so -5 minus 50% run speed, so that means she's going to be really slow. She is going to be tidying, probably because she has that +3 strength, but we can always increase her athletics so that way it's even at the end of it. Let's name our quality the Inspiring Dystopia. I love it. Let's get started. So, I've awoke at the target location, but colonization efforts have already hit a hitch. I was supposed to land on the planet's surface, but became... basically, you land inside the middle of this asteroid instead of on the surface. So, you have a limited supply of oxygen, obviously oxygen not included. I am going to go through the tutorials. Like I said, I have not played this game ever. This is definitely my first playthrough. So let's go ahead and just take our time with it. I'm probably not going to up the speed on this first couple cycles, just so that way I get the hang of things. But this game looks like a bunch of fun. There's a huge Discord server about it with different builds and everything. I know the basics of what each item does and what the main objective is, but I'm definitely going to be winging it. So your 3 duplicates arrive in this pod, and you have to dig your way to the surface and find a way to survive. So oxalite is that blue core of minerals up at the top there, and that's going to be providing oxygen for our duplicates for the first little bit. I do think it's important to get bathrooms and beds up first. Those are going to burst your morale, and your duplicates will have accidents. I think 4 is the appropriate height that you need for everything, if I remember correctly. And if you do 4 spaces between each level, then they'll be able to dig and build up at that level without it being too bad. Or like that's the max that they can dig at. It's like the perfect room size, I think. Let's see what items we have. So we do have a pneumatic door. That's going to kind of separate off the areas and give a designation for each room type. And we also have ladders, storage bin, we have the plumbing, which is the outhouse, and the bottle emptier and the pitcher pump. We also have a couple medicine objects and the cot, which is important for doing, bedrooms, because your duplicates do need to sleep at the end of the cycle. Let's go ahead and build a ladder down. We're going to try to get this water down there. But first, like I said, I do think it's important to have the outhouse. We need both water and the outhouse to start off, because you don't want your duplicates making a mess. So we'll build a little door down here. Unfortunately, that is going to be the lowest part in our base, so that's where the carbon dioxide is going to pool. but they can just hold their breath while going to the outhouse. I mean, I do it all the time when I'm camping. I'm like, I'm at an outhouse, let's go ahead and hold our breath, right? That makes sense. If you look around at our map area, we have a lot of carbon dioxide and other mysterious gases floating around. You can pick what priority everybody has. So, for example, Ellie has that higher operating skill, so her priority is going to be operating. Lindsay's going to have a priority of tidying and farming, supplying, and storing. So supplying is for delivering objects when you're building stuff, and storing is for putting objects in those storage bins. She does have the decreased athletics, so we don't want her running around the whole base, but you know, right now everybody can do everything. It's not like she's particularly high in those areas. So as for right now, I think it's okay for her to just do a little bit of everything. So we do have more oxygen in that lower part over there. We have our first hatch, which is good. Hatches are great for farming. They're a great source of food. And then they eat pretty much anything, which is also really good. So if you have an abundance of a certain resource, specifically minerals, then you can get a nice supply of food going. So like I said, we do want to get some base cots set up. These are going to be places for our duplicates to sleep. And all of this is very important to get started in the first day. You know, your duplicates can only hold their bladder for so long, and they will get a debuff if they sleep on the ground. So having a place for them to sleep is very important. We also want to see what we can do for oxygen. We do have a lot of oxalite, but that will eventually stop producing oxygen and just turn into regular minerals. So it looks like we have the oxygen diffuser set up already. If we take a look at our overlays, we can see how much food we have, how much soil, consumable ore, etc., etc. Yeah, like I said, I'm brand new to this game. Be patient with me, I promise. It will get easier over time. That's like the best type of game where you're like, I am overwhelmed at first, but I know that gives a lot of options for better gameplay down the road, so I'm very excited about that. So we do have some algae up there, which is what we need for our oxygen diffuser. Our oxygen overlay, like I said, the oxygen is okay in that one area, but we are producing a lot of carbon dioxide. So oxygen is definitely something we're going to need to be looking into. Luckily, we do have a bunch of oxygen in this little pocket here, and then a beautiful harvestable garden nature reserve area with a shine bug. So shine bugs don't produce a lot of food, but they do give a nice morale boost, which keeps your duplicates pretty happy. You know, besides that printing pod right there, they don't have any light sources down in the center of this asteroid. So yeah, the shine bug does produce light, which is perfect for seeing things. However, it does impede sleeping schedules, which is not great. What is he doing? He's grabbing some muck root, dropping that off. Any of these plants, most of them are going to be harvestable, which is a good source of food right at the beginning. You do have a ration box with some supplies and some calories right off the start. It looks like we have, you know, 16,000 I think is what we started with. They're saying it's a bit cold, but let's see, where's the temperature overlay? Honestly, it's temperate. It's pretty nice, so I don't know why he's talking about it being cold. If anything, we're in a nice cool pocket and don't have anything too hot. I know heat is one thing that we really have to worry about, as well as cold, but right now they should be fine. They're in the starting biome. So we do, now that we have the outhouse and the cots built, it's time for us to look at expanding. So let's go ahead and build a ladder down here. When the duplicates run through this area of greenery, it's going to give them a little bit of a morale boost. So instead of doing our water right there at the very bottom as our main water source, if we pick this one over here, then it kind of forces them to walk through this area, which will be better for them. Alright, that outhouse. One outhouse for 3 duplicates is probably not the best idea, but hopefully if they do have an accident, they're just going to go right down in that little cubby hole where the outhouse is. So while they are getting close to finishing up the builds that we already have placed, let's go ahead and see what else we can get started for them. A wash basin is important. You do have to watch out for germs. So we'll go ahead and plop that right next to the outhouse, so hopefully they wash their hands after using the restroom, so that way they don't get food poisoning on their food. And I think they'll have enough space to place that pitcher pump right there. We don't want to dig up the oxalite, but they might have to in that area. Nice. We're able to keep that little square of oxalite, so that'll help with our oxygen production by quite a lot. And the oxygen overlay has that nice blue kind of wispy area of effect, versus where you have low oxygen is going to be really, like, pretty much see no gases. So if we go to the colony summary over here, we already have a bed and bath award, so congratulations team, we did it. We got the basic necessities for life. Don't ignore the fact that we don't have any oxygen production besides the oxalate that automatically spawned, and we also don't have a reliable food source besides harvestables and the food that came with it. So yeah, here's a bristle blossom. You can enable auto harvest, so whenever it's ready to be harvested, you can just pick that up, put it into your little box, and have food. The pitcher pump's coming along nicely, but we're going to go ahead and enable auto harvest on all of these plants. That one can only grow in the dark, but it will grow once the shine bug gets out of this area. Uproot. Let's see. Oh, they have pheromones, so that's actually not food, that's just a plant. Okay, good to know. Yeah, so they're gonna go ahead and start auto-harvesting that and putting it in the box. I think so far we have access to water, we have access to the restroom. She's gonna fill up, Ellie's gonna fill up some water for us with our wash basin. And I know there's a way that you can click on this so that way they only have to wash their hands as they're exiting this area. But yeah, I'd really like to get another outhouse so that way they can hopefully take turns and only go 2 at a time. Hopefully we don't need 3 outhouses. Theoretically, you're supposed to have 1 wash basin for every outhouse, so that way, you know, if they both go to the outhouse at the same time, if somebody's at the wash basin, they will skip over that, and yeah, let's see. Set direction right. Perfect. Okay, so now whenever they leave that area, they have to wash their hands. Let's go ahead and get them a... Oh, what do we have now? Power? Okay. We have a hamster wheel. This is going to be a really crappy way to create energy, but it's okay at first. We're going to put a little battery down next to it, and then you see those 2 plug signs. That means we have to connect a wire to it, so that way when you run the hamster wheel, you fill up the battery, and then the battery will keep a charge. Let's see. I know Ellie's good at operating, so she's probably going to be the main person on that hamster wheel. And we'll have a research station, which is going to be a good way for us to get tech. So we'll go ahead and line all of those up. And with the more tech that we have, the easier it's going to be to... Oh, mealtime. Okay. So here we go. We're going to see Ellie. She's going to go to the bathroom. Like I said, hopefully they take turns and don't have an accident. The worst case scenario is that they have an accident on that main platform. It falls into our fresh water supply and our water supply is then contaminated. Then she's going to go to the wash basin and wash her hands. Perfect. And then he's going to go to the outhouse. Our other duplicate is just waiting for her turn. Once the outhouse is clear, then he's going to wash his hands. Perfect. So they are all taking turns, and that is exactly what we want to see. I think I want to place down another outhouse. Like I said, I'm just worried about the germs, but we'll see. And it's nighttime now. It's nice and dark. there's a little hatch hanging out with them. That would freak me out in the middle of the night, hearing a little hatch run around your bedside, but it's fine. She is getting to bed a little bit late at night, so she might be tired or not fully rested by the time morning hits, but that's okay. Yeah, I think the main area of focus for us at the beginning of this is trying to get oxygen production, obviously, and then I'd love to start ranching these hatches, so that way we have a good source of food. Barbecue creates a lot of calories, which is awesome, and as you can see here, their diet is just so many weird things. Sandstone, which we have a lot of. I know that's a very common thing to feed your hatches. We have more algae, so I think we could probably start with the oxygen diffuser since we do have an abundance of algae until we research better ways to produce oxygen. So first thing in the morning, they're going to get right to work. They're going to build this outhouse. She's going to decontaminate that outhouse. And we are also going to start doing our research, getting that all set up. I really wish there wasn't all these tutorials over here on the left-hand side. Building lacks resources, default schedule work. So that means our supplier is not doing their job of supplying. Now, as you can see, when they build out, they create these little, let's see, germ overlay. Yeah, it's germy in our restroom, surprise, surprise. As for our oxygen levels, we do have our carbon dioxide pit, unfortunately, in our restrooms, but that's fine. They can just hold their breath. But we do want to think of another way to store our carbon dioxide. So all the way down there at the bottom with those other plants, there's already a little bit of oxygen, but that would be a great way to store our carbon dioxide. So if we have a little switchback right here, then all of our carbon dioxide will hopefully find its way down there. The one that's already trapped in our restrooms won't because of the way oxygen flows. Carbon dioxide does not flow up. But we can dig out this a little bit and maybe connect them in the future. And unlocking that area down there as well will also give us more food. Our oxygen diffuser, we do kind of want to put someplace where there's going to be high pressure and a place where our duplicates visit often. So I'm thinking in this little alcove right here might not be terrible. It's going to pressurize the oxygen really hard, but we can eventually break out that little wall and then it can flow in both directions. So they're going to be busy building that up, and while they are, we'll go ahead and start auto harvesting these so when they do break down to that little pit area, they will go ahead and harvest those immediately. We aren't hurting for calories right now. We have 20,000 calories between the starting rations and what we've been able to harvest so far. So I'm not too worried about that. Eventually we will have some farms set up as well as ranching, etc., etc. And honestly, for our oxygen, it's pretty breathable. That's carbon dioxide up there in that pit, so when we do crack open that, it's going to flood our whole base with carbon dioxide. But it would be really nice to get that harvestable, and all of that algae way up there will really help with our oxygen production, since all we have is the oxygen diffuser. So let's go ahead and dig down here as well into this water pit and kind of give us some more space for that carbon dioxide to flow into. And meanwhile, we'll start some research. I think the first thing we're going to research is going to be our compost. And until I see you guys again, I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Bye-bye.